Restless, numb, and horny. The midlife crisis that no powerful man admits to. In case you're wondering why I know this, I am Shell, and I have worked with over 55 high profile individuals over the last years. And these are the type of men who, from the exterior, seem to have it all. The type of man that other men look up to and say, hey, I want to be there. I want to go there. I want to be that man. But little do they know, and little does society in general. I'm very idealistic. Little does society know that these men are actually suffering. We spoke a little bit in the last video how for the average man in midlife crisis that sits at the bottom of a mountain and can look up to the top and say, I feel this pain because I haven't reached there. That's exterior to him, and he can find meaning in that. But for the man who's at the top and has nowhere else to climb, and he feels pain, what the hell? He, if someone tells him, but you have it all, why do you have so much pain in your heart? Why are you suffering? What's wrong with you? That's for him, it makes him feel crazy for having such pain. And of course, then stallions, which is how I love to call my clients, they do not, because they're so strong, they fear vulnerability to actually open up and ask for help. And that's when they come to me. And if you're watching this video, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, hope that it brings some hope for you to find the peace that you deserve. So how does it look like? How have I seen this sort of pain, this midlife crisis thing manifest in my clients' lives? This might look like man who is very self-accomplished in their career, but doesn't feel turned on about it anymore. They're just there for the motion. He's uninspired. Maybe that's you. Maybe you have a career. Maybe you have a business that is up and running and it's functioning. And now that there's no problem to solve, now that you don't have this something to get this chaos and channel that chaos into something, not only you are uninspired, but you don't really know what to do with it. And this chaos starts bumbling. So there's this restless in you. If we go into what this could be, this is your shadow manifesting itself, asking you to, hey, have a look down here. When we look into the numbness, that's when there's part of you that might not be wanting to accept that change needs to be welcomed in your life. And this is probably the hardest part of all this. The resistance to change is what keeps not only, let's not only talk about stallions like yourself, let's talk about in general. Resistance to change is what keeps people away from their peace, from their happiness, because somehow they're not only scared of that their day-to-day life will change. That's easy. The problem is changing the meaning of who they are. So perhaps if you down deep know, if you know that a lot of things have to change, that maybe you're not happy in your marriage, maybe you have to have a difficult conversation with your significant other. Maybe you have to be vulnerable and come and talk to someone that you can trust about it. Or maybe there are some things that you need to face in your life and come clean with. That's scary. So what would be your ego's defense mechanism? Defense mechanism to keep you away from such change and such break in your egoic identity. That is numbness, that is repression. But the beautiful thing about life force and sexual energy and humans is that sexual energy, eros, is always carrying us through and guiding us towards evolution and change and life, so we can create again and again and again. That's why you probably feel horny, or with the desire of. In rough lines, I always like to say the way you penetrate a woman is the way you penetrate the world. So when a man feels this urge to penetrate a woman, that's his lover archetype, seeking to feel the world. And again, the way this pain might manifest in your life with the horniness is finding yourself in a failed marriage, and not having the capacity, not having the skills, not knowing how to approach your wife to start to bring more arrows into your marriage. It might look like you are successful and you're powerful, and it's easy for you to get women like that. But because your lover archetype is not fully developed, you can't really touch a woman deeply. You you want to find yourself in so many women, you want to penetrate them, but you're not feeling it. Or you might go onto the other spectrum of the shadows of the lover archetype. We spoke about this again before. The lover archetype, which is the archetype in Jungian psychology, the one responsible to feel life, the one responsible to feel the tenderness of living. The opposite of the lover archetype is death. I might even say the warrior, the one that shuts everything down in pro of achieving. I bet that you have an incredible warrior inside you, the one that, yes, managed to just keep things down and just get into the mission. And that's beautiful. You've done it. But how about now finding some space to look in your interior and develop other parts of you? Again, when the lover archetype is underdeveloped, the emptiness comes. And this is so predominant, way more, it's way easier to find this emptiness in the masculine than it is to find in the feminine, for a bunch of reasons that we're not going to get into because I'm focused on the men here. But men have it hard, and the ones at the top have it even harder because they're alone. And you can all start imagining, and you can start already probably relating to all sorts of problems that these forces have been creating in your life. And I could bring here some more tangible ones, like, your day-to-day relationship is not great. You can't find love. You become a tyrannic leader because you can't feel anything. People stop respecting you because you can't go down into the human level with them. You become a machine. Like, you might be feeling, I'm just saying things that I have received from my clients. You might feel like you are dislocated from the world, that you are apart from it, that I have a client once described himself as a robot. He feels like a robot in the world, just functioning. And this brings all sorts of problems. But in my opinion, as with the depth that I have and the sensibility that I feel, is living a unlived life. If you don't know, I mean, you surely don't know about my story, but I have dwelled. I love reflecting about life and death. I had my own share of lowers, low points, and suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts. And when I did this work with my sexual energy, which inspired me to officialize and theorize psychosexual integrated therapy, life is all we have in your lifetime. And how you live is the most important thing of all. I think that men, stallions, they are so taking a little step outside of this. The vast majority of my clients are in the US, or they are Americans living abroad, or they might be from somewhere else, but they have this American culture. And I think American culture are so, I don't want to say mean, that's not the right word, but they're so heavy on men. Men are asked to perform from such an early age. And capitalism, which I'm not criticizing it or saying something else is better, but capitalism can be so harsh on men and can say, yeah, you're not allowed to feel anything from now on. You have to man up, you have to be, you have to conquer, you have to produce. I had a client once telling me that if a man does not produce, he's worthless to society. And while I understand, if you're a stoic, that I understand that philosophy, but how about your heart? Is this really what this is about? What's the point? I'm here helping you have all these existential realizations. What is the point of building legacy? What is the point of having an empire behind you if you don't have the depth and the sensibility to feel it and to feel the impact of your imprint of this world? What a shame. What a shame. And look, in the worst case scenarios, which thankfully never happened to me within my practice, comes, the loneliness epidemic and suicidal attempts amongst men, because they can't feel things, because the lover archetype, if we're talking about tantric terms, Shakti, the one that makes us alive, you've repressed that, but you're feeling horny because it's there. It wants to be manifested. So, what I invite you to start looking at is to, first of all, lift any judgments you have around yourself. I believe that lifting judgment is the first thing any therapist, any person going through personal development has to do in order to have a fair view of what's happening underneath. If you have all these manifestations coming from the underworld and you put it through some glasses of what's good and bad, what is this and that, with a narrative of how things should be or shouldn't be, you're not actually listening to what's coming up. So release the judgment you have over yourself. Deconstruct yourself. I know a lot of stallions are always worried about deconstruction. It scares them. It's of course, their whole lives they've been building up to be the type of man, to be a man. It's a construct, right? To ask them to deconstruct that so they can see really what's bubbling underneath. It can be scary. Remember, we spoke in the beginning of this video about resistance to change. But I invite you to lift any judgments you have over yourself. And if it's worth a tip, the critic inside our heads, it's always from our oppressors, our abusers. So it can be the voice of your mother. It can be the voice of your father. It can be the voice of your uncle or of your grandpa. It doesn't matter. It's someone that you grew up with. Freud would call this the outer ego, the one that judges the ego. Release that judgment. So, for instance, if you are in a relationship and you're having a lot of fantasies without your wife, again, something that comes to me often, rather than judging yourself over having them, why not just lift the judgment for a little bit and wonder, what are these fantasies asking from me? What is that I'm craving below this? Because essentially, my love, yourself, your true self is asking something from you. And it's almost like the shortcut to get what it wants from you is desire. It desires something. So why not look at desire? If you're feeling restless, if something is up, but when you go inside to see what's up, you feel numb, then why not look at desire? I spoke to, again, I say so much, I spoke about this before, but I did. What inspired me to work with sexuality and sexual energy is because sexual energy can tell us so much about ourselves. Tell Tell me what turns you on, and I'll tell you who you are. It's really that simple. Leave the judgment, observe yourself, be honest with yourself, and also go ahead and look into what is the resistance of change you have, and where is it coming from? Is it from fear of vulnerability? Is it from fear of actual physical change? And you don't have to make it big. You don't have to take action on it. See, that's also a thing. I think stallions, they sometimes they get fixated that they must act. It's the hero. The hero needs to make a heroic, but sometimes change can come in a 2 millimeter shift, and it can change everything. So leave the judgment and have a look into what is your desire, what turns you on, and equally what does not turns you on anymore. In Brazil, I'm Brazilian. In Brazil, we have this word, tesão. And tesão means, it's like lust, it's like horniness, but we use it for everything. Like I could say, wow, this city is tesão. For me, New York is a tesão of a city. When I'm in New York, I'm like, hey, a man can be a tesão, of course. This job, wow, this book is a tesão. Brazil is the most sexual country I've ever been to, and I've been to 50. We can take a leaf out of the Brazilian tree. Observe your tesão, see where it's at, see where it's not. Start learning about it. Because what's on the other side of you becoming aware of what's in your life and what's not. I want to make an ad here. Sometimes your fantasies, the things that you desire, are not necessarily erotic. If you find yourself obsessing over something even negative, for example, feeling abandoned, if you feeling like repeatedly that you are abandoned, or I've had cases of feeling repeatedly like being cheated on, fantasizing about something bad happening to yourself, even the pull for death. I wrote an article about this. This is also a manifestation of your erotic energy, believe it or not. Hence why in psychosexual integrative therapy, we have exercises that I take from BDSM. Maybe you have a masochist inside of you. Maybe you have a side of you that wants to release control, that wants to be humiliated, degraded, objectified. There's a part of you that wants to release shame through your sexuality. Oh my God, the theme is so big and there's so many angles. My point here, my love, is to open your mind, that there's so many things, so many ways to explore your existence. And if you are at the top, and you have the means and you have the time, and oh, now you're gonna say, no, I don't have the time, I'm busy. Shut up. I'm a worker in a factory who has to work 40 hours a week because it can't feed its family. He can tell me that he doesn't have the time. But if you are already somewhere and you have way more than you need, you can take the time off to start thinking about things. And I'm not even talking about weeks off. I'm talking about taking my clients work with me for 1.5 hours a week, but take 3 hours of your week to look into your interior. Like, if anybody can do it, it's a privilege. It's a privilege of a lifetime to become who you truly are. That's a quote from Jung. And if you are this type of man who can do it, I feel so much for stallions because I see they are pain. Women, yeah, it's so nice to be around women, because women, we are naturally more, our lover archetype is naturally more evolved. We can dance, we are cosmic dancers. We can come down into the underworld. We do come down in the underworld when we have our PMS, when things get messy, we feel it. But then we come back again and we're ovulating. Woohoo! We experience this, but men don't. You guys are in a box of producing and being hard and being stiff. Now going into rage psychoanalysis, about the organ energy. You have so much caresses, and my clients are stiff. Loosen up, dude. Loosen up. Life is good. You know, penetrate the world with your energetic content. Allow yourself to have pleasure in this journey. This is not going to last very long. And part of your crisis or existential crisis is that you're probably feeling autumn, fall, and winter is approaching and we're all going to die. What is the meaning that you want to have to your life? If you have kids, look at your kids. How can you connect with them deeper? How can you, through an open heart and vulnerability, can you transmit to them your true values? Again, this is another critic. I'm being very critical here. So I hear stallions complaining that their kids do not hear them, that their kids do not respect them. But man, can you connect with your children in a heart-to-heart level? Because that's the only way children can connect to. And if you can't connect with the child in a heart-to-heart level, the teacher's not going to listen to you. And again, this is a long problem that comes from the way back where, I'm not going to get political here. It's not worth it. But I guess you get the point. My love, if you are interested, if you're a man and you're tired of resisting yourself, and you are feeling that more and more it's the time to come closer to you, who you truly are, and own these forces within you and understand them so you can integrate them, then the doors are open for you. The way I can help you right now is you can jump on the website psychosexualintegrative.com, and you can download Less as Medicine, which is a paper that I wrote on how you can turn your erotic energy, your sexual energy, into creativity, into creative force, to bring that lover, gives bring it to life again, bring life into your life, joy, colors, depth. This might be a good start for you to start getting familiar with this unorthodox work that I do. If you are even more interested on understanding how this works, then I might recommend you to jump also on the website and apply. Join the waiting list to work with me. I only work with 3 clients at the time, so my schedule is busy, and I have to check in with priority. Who I like to be fair with who comes first, but the point is that if you're feeling called to, it would be a pleasure for me to hold you and to allow you to break down and to be vulnerable. And with that vulnerability and openness, with the lifting of judgment, so to look at you and pick up the fragmented parts of yourself to bring about integration so you can feel what perhaps you haven't ever felt before. My love, sending you much love, and I'll see you next time. Bye.